All right, so today we're diving into the global energy transition. And yeah, you've probably heard it's happening fast, but the real story here, it's not just about swapping oil for solar panels. It's about a total rewrite of who holds power on a global scale. So let's get right into it.
So here's the fundamental challenge we're all facing, right? Our modern world, it is incredibly power hungry. I mean, we need electricity for literally everything, from our biggest industries right down to our homes. But the fossil fuels that have gotten us this far, well, they're warming the planet, and that's forcing us to make a really tough choice.
I'm sure you've seen the headlines, right? All about climate change and this big push for renewables. But what I want to get across today is that the real story, it isn't just about switching from, say, coal to wind. It's about a fundamental, deep-down change in how power itself even works on a global scale.
Okay, Section 1. Our world needs power, the race against time. First, let's just be clear about the stakes here. We're in a massive race to decarbonize our entire energy system. And believe me, the clock is ticking. The amount of energy we use is just staggering. And that demand, it's not going anywhere but up.
So where are we right now? This chart gives us a pretty good snapshot from 2020. You can see renewables hit 29% of global electricity, which, by the way, is a huge leap forward. But flip that coin, that also means fossil fuels are still providing the other 71%. So yeah, we've made some amazing progress, but this race is nowhere near over.
All right, next up, the renewable revolution, an unstoppable force. And this is where the good news really kicks in, because this shift towards renewables, it isn't just some far-off goal anymore. It's a full-blown revolution that's already happening. And honestly, it's being driven by a pretty unstoppable force.
So what's driving this thing? It's all about speed. Just look at this. The share of renewables in our electricity mix nearly doubled in just 1 decade. We're not talking about a slow crawl here. This is exponential acceleration. And the reason why, well, it all comes down to one incredible number.
So what is the secret sauce here? What's lighting the fuse on this whole revolution? It's this number, a 90% drop. In the last 10 years, the cost of solar panels has just plummeted by an unbelievable 90%. Think about that. Clean energy isn't just the right environmental choice anymore. In more and more places, it's flat out the cheapest economic choice.
I love this quote from analyst Jenny Chase because it just puts it into perspective so perfectly. She says, a solar module costs the price of 8 tasses of the high-end coffee you can get here in Brussels. I mean, wow. When a piece of high-tech energy equipment costs about the same as a few fancy coffees, you know it's a total game changer. It makes it accessible for everyone, not just giant utility companies, but regular businesses and homeowners too.
And, that crazy affordability has led to an absolute explosion in scale. Just last year, the world installed 444 gigawatts of solar panels. Now, to help you get your head around that number, that is more than the entire electrical capacity of an industrial powerhouse like Japan. And we installed it in just 1 year. That's insane.
Okay, moving on to solving the gaps. New problems, new solutions. Because, of course, a revolution this huge, it doesn't come without some major challenges. As we start shifting our entire grid over to renewables, we're running into a whole new set of problems that, you guessed it, requires some pretty innovative new solutions.
And this is the big one, the word you hear all the time, intermittency. Look, unlike a coal or gas plant that you can just turn on and off whenever you want, solar panels, well, they don't work at night. And wind turbines don't work when the air is still. So, that begs the million-dollar question. How do you power a city 24/7 with an energy source that isn't always on?
And this really illustrates the core of the debate perfectly. On one hand, you've got renewables like solar and wind. They're conditional, right? They only generate power a fraction of the time, which gives them what's called a lower capacity factor, somewhere around 24 to 34%. But then on the other side, you have nuclear. It's totally unconditional. It just runs 24/7 with a massive 92.5% capacity factor. It's a constant, clean source of energy. So you can see it's a really complex trade-off between different clean energy options. So the most common solution people are working on for this whole intermittency problem, it really comes down to 2 main things. Think of it as a 1-2 punch. First, you just build way more clean energy capacity than you need for any given moment. You produce a ton of it when the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, and then, and this is the really crucial part, you have to have massive systems to store all that excess energy. We're talking everything from huge batteries to creating green hydrogen. That way, you can just tap into that stored energy when it's dark or calm.
All right, let's get to the next section, a new global playbook, from fuel to technology. And honestly, this is where we get to the most profound, the most important part of this whole story. Because this isn't just about new machines and new gadgets. It's about a completely new playbook for global power. A fundamental shift from a world built on fuel to one that's going to be built on technology.
Analyst Matt Tilliard puts it this way. He says, "Our modern world was built on fuel. So the past makes sense when you look at it wearing fuel-tinted glasses." And that's so true, right? For more than 100 years, history has been all about who finds the oil, who controls the pipelines, who burns the coal. Geopolitics, wars, the global economy, it's all been seen through these fuel-tinted glasses, where the key to power was controlling a finite resource.
But here's the kicker. This energy transition is totally different from every single one that came before it. Think about it. We're not just moving from one fuel to another fuel, like we did going from wood to coal or coal to oil. No, we are moving to a technology. And that simple fact changes everything. In the old fuel-based world, power came from control. But in this new technology-based world, power comes from the ability to build. Let's break that down. First, just think about the life cycle. Fuel is a one-way street. You find it, you burn it, and poof, it's gone forever. Technology, though, is completely different. It's circular. Over 90% of the materials in a wind turbine or a solar panel can be recycled and reused to build the next generation of tech.
Second point, scarcity versus abundance. Fuel is scarce, right? It's only found in certain places, which creates these geopolitical choke points. But the materials for technology, they're what you'd call fungible or substitutable. So if the price of copper suddenly skyrockets, no problem. Innovators can just design a new solar panel that uses superabundant aluminum instead. There are always other options.
And finally, and this really is the most important point of all, fuel can be controlled. One country can literally turn off the tap and stop another country from getting its oil. But technology? Technology is shared. Knowledge can't be contained like that. No one can stop another country from figuring out how to manufacture its own solar panels or build its own batteries. In a way, the ability to build is much more democratic.
So, let's bring this all together. Section 4, Building Tomorrow's Energy. Who holds the power? When you put all these pieces together, it forces us to ask a totally new kind of question about the future. In a world where energy isn't controlled by just a handful of players, who actually holds the power? Okay, so let's just quickly recap the big takeaways here. First, the future is a system, not just one single source. It's all about how different pieces work together. Second, the cost declines are so massive that clean energy is becoming inevitable. The economics are just on its side now. And most importantly, the whole game is shifting, away from controlling resources and towards building technology. Which brings us to the ultimate question, the one that leaders and strategists all over the world are asking themselves right now. Who is going to be the Saudi Arabia of clean energy? Who's going to dominate this new era and hold the kind of power that the big oil states held in the last century?
And the answer, once you finally take off those old fuel-tinted glasses, is nobody. There won't be a single country or a single cartel that can control the sun. You can't put a blockade around the wind. That old model of power, it's broken.
Because the other side of that answer is everybody. Power in this new era belongs to anyone who can invent, innovate, and build. The future of energy isn't going to be dominated by the people who dig a resource out of the ground. It's going to be led by the people who build the technologies that empower us all. It's a future that, at its core, isn't controlled, it's built.